I really advocate for giving your soybean crop some attention and bring more yield to the soybean crop.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey and I'm visiting with Greg Shepard. Greg is the Southeast Iowa agronomist for Beck's Hybrids. And Greg, you spend a lot of time working with farmers. You're out there in the field. We know how important research is to Beck's Hybrids. Kind of what are you hearing from farmers? What are they talking to you about in terms of this year's soybean crop?
Well, there's been some stressors. We had a pretty good early spring planting, but we had a cool May, and now we've had definite periods of dry weather. That's made the soybean crop a little slow to come on, especially vegetative growth has been slow. And so farmers are wondering how it's going to turn out. Big question too has been, when do I pull the trigger on the post herbicide application to control weeds?
Research is really the basis of a lot of what Beck's does. Your practical farmers' work is really widely known. What other things are you seeing out there in the field?
For starters, with weed management, with some dry weather, sometimes we'll see those late flushes of water hemp. So I think it's going to be another year where the narrower 15-inch row, 20-inch row soybeans are going to have an advantage for closing the row, establishing that canopy earlier. That doesn't mean to give up on 30-inch rows, or doesn't mean that all our soybeans may not produce, bountiful crop this year. But weed control is paramount, of course. Again, with the cooler May and then some stretches of dry weather here, that's really tough on the rhizobia bacteria and nodulation. And vegetative growth, as those soybeans really start to branch out and grow taller, they need that nitrogen production. Drier soils and cooler soils, they just slow down that nitrogen production. Of course, soybeans need more nitrogen than corn. A lot of soybeans were planted before corn as well, because it was just a little cool, even there in April, and farmers weren't quite sure we were going to get a very good warm stretch, so a lot of soybeans were planted first. This slow growth has made farmers really concerned, and how do we manage them? But I'm advocating, don't give up on that soybean crop.
From your vantage point, from Beck's vantage point on soybean research, are you seeing any other trends? Are you seeing anything else that's kind of evolving that maybe 2 or 3 years ago was maybe novel, but now is coming a little bit more into vogue as it relates to soybean production?
Sometimes we treat soybeans like they're a rotation crop, but really the thing I love about soybeans is they are actually more responsive to management, to fungicide application, to foliar nutrition, early planting, just as I already mentioned. They really reward you. Now the tough thing is that it's incrementally. It's a few bushels here and a few bushels there, but that's why I really advocate for giving your soybean crop some attention. And more farmers have their own self-propelled sprayers and can really use that equipment that they may already have and bring more yield to the soybean crop.
If you can give farmers one piece of advice as it relates to putting bushels in that combine when they go through the field this fall and harvest soybeans, what is it?
That's really hard for me to pick one to answer that question. I work more Highway 30 and south, so I'm biased to the early planting. I really do think whether it be planting soybeans first, or I'm seeing more and more farmers add a second planter if they're a substantial sized operation to where they're planting corn and soybeans at the same time. But at the end of the day, we don't want to lag into mid or late May for soybean planting, because we're giving up bushels there.
Well, Greg, thank you. Thank you for stopping by our meeting here in Ames, and also for your support of the Iowa Soybean Association. Great partner, great research partner, and also a partner for the State of Soy. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Putsey.
Farming is a competitive business, and you need equipment you can count on every single day. That's why for nearly 90 years, farmers have entrusted their grain handling to Brandt Agricultural Products. Brandt's full line of hardworking conveyors, augers, grain carts, vacs, grain bagging equipment, and tillage equipment are made to deliver the competitive edge you need to lead the field, and are manufactured here in the USA. For more information on our full line of products, visit brandt.ca today.